So I rolled in at like 3 in the morning on Saturday after a total nightmare drive from Aberdeen to London. The Friday traffic was a nightmare as usual, and to top it off, there was a massive accident on the highway that had me stuck for hours. I figured Liz, my wife Elizabeth, would be fast asleep by the time I got back, but nope, she didn't even bother leaving a light on for me. I lugged my bags and briefcase out of the car's trunk and clumsily carried them up to the front door. As soon as I stepped inside, I could tell something was off. The house was freezing cold, probably because the heating was turned down or off, which was weird because Liz usually keeps the house super warm. After putting down my bags and turning on some lights, I was shocked to see that some furniture was missing. Confused, I hurried upstairs to our bedroom, hoping to find Liz asleep, but she wasn't there. The closet was open and most of Liz's clothes were gone. I was completely shocked, wondering what the heck had happened. I figured a drink might help, so I went to the living room, poured myself some rum, and sat down. Can you believe Liz actually left? I mean, we've been married for almost 19 years and have twin daughters in their first year of university. Yeah, Liz was already pregnant when we got married. Honestly, when we tied the knot, it wasn't because of deep love or anything. We were just messing around and then she got pregnant with Susan and Sandra. I felt like I had to do the right thing by marrying her. My dad would have flipped out if I didn't man up. But you know, love works in mysterious ways. In some crazy twist of fate, I ended up falling head over heels for Liz and our kids. My whole world started revolving around them and I'd do anything to put a smile on Liz's face. I always thought of myself as a devoted husband, especially after our daughters left for college. Liz and I started getting closer again and making up for lost time. But let's be real, our marriage wasn't flawless. Elizabeth had a strong personality and I'd often just go with the flow to avoid any drama. Overall, I was pretty happy with our life together, but now it looks like I've been lied to, or at least Liz wasn't being straight up. It seems like she's left me, but I can't figure out why. She's always telling me she loves me, and we even talked about how crazy it would have been for us to get married if she wasn't pregnant. But we both agreed it was the best thing that ever happened to us, falling in love deeply over the years. Now it seems like one of us might be having doubts. I let my emotions get the best of me, and anger took over. I started pacing the room, then went outside to the garden for a smoke, even though Liz hates it. Man, I always smoke outside because my tobacco stinks up the place. After about 10 minutes, it hit me that Liz might never be around to nag me again. But I still finished my pipe outside before heading back in. When I got inside, I saw a letter on the kitchen table addressed to David. I hesitated for a moment before opening it. It was definitely from Liz and she was clearly pissed off when she wrote it. She only calls me David when she's mad. I sat down and reluctantly opened the envelope, not looking forward to whatever it said. Finally, I read her angry message. She straight up called me a liar and a cheater, and then said she was gonna leave me. She accused me of cheating with some young chick and threatened to take everything from me in the divorce. Liz was so pissed off she even talked about getting violent with the girl she thought I was messing around with. She made it clear she thought I didn't give a damn about our daughters. She told me to find a new place to live because she was gonna take the house in the divorce. Elizabeth, her. That's kind of intriguing, I thought to myself. I was curious to know who she was talking about. Liz was straight up accusing me of cheating, thinking there was some communication mix-up. I ain't the type to cheat. If I was, I would have bounced when she got pregnant. But I value what we have too much to mess it up. Sure, I've had my fair share of temptations like any other dude, but I always know what really matters and play it safe. Still, Liz was dead set on me being unfaithful. So, what could I do? The only logical move at that point was to hit the hay. I've been up since early Friday morning, and now it's the early hours of Saturday. I usually keep my emotions in check, which has been good for my job. I thought that once I figured out the problem, I could reassure Liz that she was wrong. However, as I lay in bed, sleep wouldn't come and doubts started creeping in. Why didn't Liz just confront me if she thought I was cheating? It got me thinking, maybe she was expecting me to cheat. I've noticed that people often expect others to do things they would do themselves. Hang on a minute. I was thinking about this and maybe Liz thought I was cheating because she was actually the one being unfaithful. And then she started suspecting me for some reason. That idea freaked me out so much that I jumped out of bed. I felt like it was a serious situation. Next thing I knew, I was tearing the house apart looking for any clues that Liz had been cheating. I even ransacked her sewing room, but there was no point in checking her bedroom drawers because they were already empty. So I decided to hack into her email on the computer. It was pretty easy. I was scrolling through her internet history for hours. It was such a waste of time, but I felt like I had to do it. The only thing I found was her searching for a divorce lawyer the Thursday before, but there was no proof that she actually reached out to any. That's when I came up with a sneaky plan to get ahead in an argument. Sometimes you gotta make the first move. It was a long shot, but I decided to email the law firm she seemed to have chosen, pretending to need their services for my own divorce case. I thought there was a small chance she hadn't contacted them yet. So I was totally right. They hit me up real quick, asking me to come in ASAP. So I headed over there, and by 10 a.m. that Saturday, I was in their office hiring Maria Granite as my lawyer. Liz probably didn't realize that some lawyers work on Saturdays. After filling Maria in on what I found at home and showing her the letter, she asked if I had ever cheated on my wife. I reassured her that I loved my wife and hadn't done anything to mess up our marriage. Someone told me to chill out, figure out where Liz went, and have a chat with her. They thought it was probably just a misunderstanding that we could clear up by talking. So I headed back home and tried to track down Liz. I called her parents and brother, but they hadn't heard from her and said she wasn't with them. Her sister didn't know where she was either, but I didn't think Liz would be at her place because it's far away. Even though I was clueless about Liz leaving me, her family immediately took her side once I filled them in. So, the next person I had to call was Liz's friend Rose, which I was totally not looking forward to but felt like I had to do. Rose, who's been divorced twice, has a rep for being all over the place. One minute she's sweet, the next she's harsh. Liz and Rose have been tight since forever, and Rose, who's a total babe, would hang out with Liz when she wasn't with one of her guys. Liz and I would laugh about how Rose always ended up needing a lift home after their girls' nights because she found someone to keep her company. It was always something. I trusted Liz even though she was friends with Rose. Every time Rose would start dating a new guy, Liz would ask me to pick her up. I called Rose and she immediately started giving me a hard time, making me think Liz might be there even though Rose said she wasn't. Frustrated, I hung up the phone and felt all the old anger and confusion come rushing back. I went outside to smoke my pipe and calm down. After thinking it over, I realized Liz was trying to push my buttons by leaving without saying anything. But I chose not to let it get to me. Hit me up, I didn't do anything wrong by going along with Liz's games. I called our twin daughters, who were surprised to hear that their mom had left. I told them I didn't do anything to make Liz leave and guessed she might be at Rose's place. I even said Liz could chill there as long as she wanted. The girls thought it was all a mix-up and were sure their mom would come to her senses soon. I knew I shouldn't have dragged them into it, but I was caught up in the moment and thought maybe they could knock some sense into their mom. So I went to the garage to look for stuff when we got our house. I changed all the outdoor lock barrels because we didn't have all the keys and I wanted one key for all the doors. Changing a lock barrel is easy. I put back the original ones and made sure the garage door couldn't open. Liz wanted out, so now she's out for good and can't get back in while I work on the garage door, old man. So, Blake from across the street came by. He and his wife are always sticking their noses in everyone's business, so I bet they saw Liz moving out and wanted the inside scoop. I didn't spill too much, but he mentioned spotting a rental truck on Friday morning with some people, including Liz and some chick, hauling stuff out. Liz took off in her Volvo and the other woman left in a pink VW Beetle, definitely Rose's ride. That night, I made sure to keep prying eyes out by shutting all the curtains and closing the garage blinds, just in case. From upstairs, I could see outside perfectly thanks to the security cameras I set up for Liz to feel safe when I wasn't around. I decided to give Rose another call, but she flat out denied having Liz with her and even started calling me names. She refused to tell me where Liz was, even if she knew. I calmly asked her to pass on a message to Liz if she saw her. I told her that since Liz believed some stupid rumor without even talking to me, I didn't want to see her again and was thinking about filing for divorce. When Liz left me, Rose was shocked and said she was planning to divorce me because she thought I was cheating. But I told her I haven't cheated, so I think I'm good. I'm not worried about the divorce, it will probably go my way since Liz already left and even left a letter saying she's done. My lawyer says that's all the proof I need. But then Rose almost said something personal, then accused me of something. I hung up on her. I hung up the phone after Rose's slip-up got me thinking she thought she caught me with another chick. I wonder if Rose will spill the beans to Liz and make her doubt her decision. After the call, I whipped up some dinner and then went outside to make sure nobody was snooping. Liz wanted to mess around, so I was down to play along. Later on, I peeped Liz's car on the CCTV, seems like she might be switching up her plans. Her and Rose were posted up in the car, probably figuring out their next move. Maybe Liz is having second thoughts. I was wondering if she had enough evidence for court or if she got the situation all wrong. She probably thought that by staying in the house, I wouldn't be able to accuse her of leaving me. After some time, Liz attempted to open the front door with her key, after failing to open the garage with a remote. Unfortunately, her key didn't work. Liz rang the doorbell a few times and even shouted for me through the mail slot. Rose got out of the Volvo and joined her. I could hear them talking, but the only thing I could make out clearly was Rose suggesting that they try another door. So, they walked out the door and disappeared from the camera's sight. I could hear them messing around with the kitchen door, then the patio door, which is right by where I was. Next thing I knew, they were back at the front door. Liz tried to open the garage door by hand after the front door wouldn't open, but she gave up eventually. They had a heated conversation by the Volvo before Rose stormed off and Liz got back in her car. For the next 30 minutes, Liz kept calling someone over and over again, but didn't actually talk to anyone. She was probably trying to call the house phone and my mobile that I had turned off. Later on, Rose showed up with some McDonald's and they hung out in the car until way past midnight before driving off. Rose's VW was left there, so it seemed like they might come back in the morning. They were parked outside all day Sunday, with Rose making multiple McDonald's runs. They took off again after midnight, this time taking Rose's car probably because she needed it for work on Monday. I left the house early on Monday, grabbed breakfast at a rest stop, and read the papers until it was time for work. I was the first one to show up at the office, waiting to see what was going on with Liz. So, at 9:05, my phone starts ringing and it's probably Liz finally getting in touch. She's all like, "What's up? You've been trying to get into the house all weekend." I was totally caught off guard by her anger. I was expecting her to be all apologetic that morning. I told her she shouldn't try to get into the house again because she doesn't live there anymore. I just said I'm renting it out because it's too big for just me, even though that wasn't true. I just wanted to see how she'd react. And boy, did she freak out. "You rented out our house? Why would you do that?" "Oh, Liz. We are heading towards an expensive legal battle, the rent will help pay for those costs." Liz couldn't believe it. "No, Liz, you're the one who went too far by accusing me of cheating, writing that mean letter, and avoiding talking to me while staying with Rose. David, we need to have a conversation. The time for talking was over last Friday, Liz, now it's all about the lawyers. So you're not sorry at all, you're just fine with us splitting up after 20 years. Wait a minute, I didn't do anything wrong, you're the one who left and wrote that. Hey, so you mentioned divorce first, maybe you should chat with that lawyer you brought up. Let me know once you do so I can update mine." I ended the call and started to wonder if I was going too far. Maybe I was pushing it a bit, but to me, there's nothing worse than your partner doubting your loyalty when you've been faithful. So, I made some necessary calls. First, I called the truck rental place to double-check some details. They put me in touch with a guy I recognized from one of Rose's parties. I'm pretty sure I freaked him out, then I called someone overseas just to be safe. About half an hour later, my lawyer Maria Grant called me sounding a bit annoyed. She figured out that Liz was planning to hire her to go against me. I confessed that I knew Liz might try that, but since Maria is the best divorce lawyer in town, I wanted her on my team. Maria told me she sent Liz to another fancy firm, saying they were top-notch but expensive. I joked about finding a cheaper lawyer, and Maria reminded me that I have the freedom to choose. Let me handle my money however I want. She then asked why I wasn't trying to talk things out with Liz. I told her that everything would come out in the end. Liz is calling me David, which means she's mad at me. She won't listen when I say I haven't cheated. She'd call me Dave if she believed me. Elizabeth never uses David unless she's upset. I don't understand your point, but you guys really should talk. I'm open to talking when she's ready to listen, but I've got some big questions for her and if I don't like it. So, it looks like me and the missus are heading for a divorce. Do you reckon she's been playing away? Well, not exactly, but she's quick to assume the worst. Makes me wonder if she's been as faithful as she expects me to be. She's always quick to judge. I see your point now, but it's a new one for me. We'll see how it goes. I'll catch up with you later, Maria. I couldn't concentrate much after that. Around lunchtime, Liz called me back. Dave, we need to have a chat. I decided to meet her at a pub near my workplace at 2 o'clock. Liz seemed surprised by my agreement, but quickly got back on track. David called me out at the pub in a formal tone and I didn't even offer to buy her a drink. She reminded me that she left me, so she bought her own drink and demanded to know why. I have no idea what she's accusing me of. What did I do wrong? She said she saw me in Blackpool with another woman last weekend, but I was actually in Edinburgh for work like always. We even talked on the phone. I have no clue where she was, she could have been anywhere. But someone told me she was in Blackpool with another woman. My work hours are always the same, but if someone claims they saw me in Blackpool, they are either confused or straight up lying. Rose saw you there with another woman when she went to see the lights. She said you didn't even notice her because you were too busy with the other woman. She even followed you back to your room. Liz, come on, how long have we known Rose? Do you really think I wouldn't recognize her? You're right, Rose definitely stands out, especially with her unique style. Any guy would notice her, no doubt. So the idea that Can you believe it? I didn't even see her when we were at the same hotel, it's crazy. Then out of nowhere, Rose comes storming into the bar, plops down next to me, and slams a photo on the table. Explain this, she demands. I look at the picture and see it's of mailing, so I show it to Liz. Isn't this mailing? Rose took some pics of her but didn't realize she's dating my brother. They must have been on a trip or something. Did you know they were visiting Liz? You know, their boat always stops in Amsterdam. My brother's married to Mailing, a sweet lady from Singapore. He met this girl while he was working as the first mate on a container ship. They actually live on the ship since it's rarely in port, and many crew members do the same with their spouses. Oh, and yeah, my brother and I are identical twins, which seems to run in the family since my daughters are twins too. Liz started to cry, and Rose just sat there with her mouth wide open. Rose, did you say hi to Phil? You used to have a crush on him back at our wedding. That was a while ago, wasn't it? Now both of them were in tears, Liz from realizing her mistake and Rose. Feeling bad for stirring things up, I just sat there sipping my beer while they calmed down. Once they stopped crying, it was obvious they didn't know what to say. Rose was the first to try and make things right. Dave, I'm so sorry. I completely forgot about Phil. I honestly thought it was you. You two look so similar, being twins and all, Rose said. Don't worry about forgetting Phil, Rose. I doubt he'd remember you either, I replied, a little sharply. But I was still pretending to be more upset than I actually was. I'm really sorry, Dave. Liz. Well, he chimed in all calm and collected, but it never even occurred to me that it could be Philip. Can you forgive me for being dumb? I can see now how off base I was. No way, I can't forgive you, I said, pissed off. Both of their faces looked shocked. I gotta ask Liz, why the hell would you even think for a second that I'd cheat? We've been together for 19 years, have I ever given you a reason to doubt me? No, Dave, you've been a great husband and an awesome dad, she admitted. Then why were you so damn sure? I was cheating, and before you jumped to conclusions by saying it's because Rose told you, consider that you're trusting her more than your own husband. I've been the one here for you, looking after you and our daughters every time Rose bailed on you for some guy during your nights out. I was the one who picked you up without complaining. Liz just sat there, absorbing my words, thinking. I waited a moment before continuing, asking why you automatically thought I would cheat. Is it because you've been cheating on me? Usually, people project their own actions onto others. I never thought you'd cheat on me because I know I wouldn't do that to you. But now, out of nowhere, you're accusing me of cheating just because Rose said something. You didn't even bother to ask me about it. So now, show me that you've never cheated. What were you up to during all those late nights out or when you crashed at Rose's place while I was away on business, Dave? I swear I never cheated on you, Liz insisted, clearly upset. So you're saying? But who were those two guys with the rental truck on Friday? And why did you kiss that guy I saw? Liz flinched when I brought up the kiss. They work with Rose, she asked them to help out, she explained. And how did you thank them after they dropped your stuff off at Rose's? The same way Rose shows her appreciation. I knew exactly what I was implying. Rose always brags about how she repays favors, especially with a car. I told her to watch out for the garage owner's wife, she's not someone to mess with. I saw her confront a woman her husband was cheating with, and that woman disappeared. I didn't do anything like that, I just gave Mike a quick kiss on the cheek to show my appreciation. Liz made a big deal out of it, but it was just a small gesture. And about what happened at Rose's, I swear I didn't do anything. They just helped unload and then left to return the van. You have to believe me, Dave. Why did I get charged extra? The van wasn't returned until 10 a.m. on Saturday. When you rent a van online, they email you the receipt. I saw that email. The van wasn't returned until Saturday morning at 10. What really happened? I need to leave before I lose my cool. Let me buy Rose a drink or I'll have to kick you out myself. Rose got up and I squeezed past her. I turned to Liz and said, I'm only gonna believe the whole truth from you. I have a lot of friends who go to the same places you and Rose do. You need to come clean. Hey, we need to figure out if we are gonna work on our marriage ASAP. I'm not even sure if I care at this point. But if I hear any rumors about what you've been up to, you better hope you've already come clean with me. Be at the house by 8 tonight. I'll give you an hour to explain. I left the bar, but I'm not stupid. I think Liz knows something too, even though I never asked. My friends have always looked out for Liz and Rose when they go out. I heard Liz is known as the ice queen in the club scene, always having a good time, but never. Beyond just dancing, Liz's issue is that she doesn't know who my friends are or what they might spill if she's been up to no good. She needs to come clean tonight. After a late lunch, I decided to skip going back to the office and went home instead. When I got in, the answering machine was flashing with messages. Liz had left a couple of messages before calling my office, asking where I was and why she couldn't get into the house. Then there was a message from Ricky Morris, a guy from school, mentioning Liz and Rose. So, we were at the club on Friday gossiping about our breakup when he asked what to do next. Rick called me back right away and then showed up at my place within 10 minutes. Ricky, who had a tough upbringing but turned his life around through boxing and working as a bouncer, is now the manager of a popular local club. There's talk that he might even have a stake in some other night spots around town. Ricky has always been really protective of me, especially when it comes to Liz. He would always let me know who Liz was dancing with or if anyone was hitting on her. So, this dude tried to hit on Liz when she was out, and he's the one who spilled the tea that Liz is called the Ice Maiden in the club scene. Rick turned down a beer cause he had to work later, so he grabbed a coffee instead. He was curious about what was going on between me and Liz cause Rose was gossiping about us breaking up and accusing me of cheating with some young chick in Blackpool. I had to explain to him that Rose got confused and thought my brother Philip and his wife were me and Liz, which caused Liz to bounce. Rick was shook and asked if I managed to clear things up. Me and Liz had a little mix-up, but yeah, Rick and I were just chatting. He was convinced that nobody had ever gotten as close to Liz as he did. He even spilled about what happened on Friday night at the club. Liz and Rose took off early and went straight to Rose's place. Rick even double-checked with the taxi driver to confirm everything. I thanked him for being a good friend, then we reminisced about the old days until he had to go to work. Right as Rick was leaving, Liz showed up and looked confused to see him there. She had no idea we were friends, so she asked what was going on inside the house. So basically, Morris from the Starlight Club came over and I said he was just an old friend dropping by to catch up. I took charge in the kitchen and made some coffee while Liz tried to downplay our problems as me just being immature. But I wasn't buying it. No way, Ricky. We are kind of playing mind games at the moment. I was annoyed that Liz didn't talk to me first, and it got me thinking if she's been seeing someone else behind my back. Trust me, no one is getting too close to Liz. Some guys thought they had a chance when they found out about you too. We were having some issues, but she was being even more distant. Liz and Rose left the club early and I made sure they got home safely. Thanks, Ricky, it's good to know I have friends who have my back. Dave, you should come by the club sometime to catch up on old times. Ricky left just as Liz arrived. She saw him and was confused why he was there. She asked me about Ricky Morris from the Starlight Club. Yeah, he's an old friend who came to talk about his divorce. Let's go to the kitchen for some coffee, Liz. I tried to make things right by acknowledging Rose's mistake of mixing up my brother and me, but I stood my ground and reminded her of how quickly she left. She begged us to stop the nonsense and admit her fault, but I didn't budge. I questioned her trust in me over Rose. Liz confessed that she acted out of anger and wanted to go back home, but I was cautious and questioned her trust in our future. You're right, I messed up. Rose suggested it to show you I was serious, she said. Back to Rose again, it seems like she's always causing arguments between us. If Rose had told you she saw me with an Asian girl, wouldn't you assume it was Philip? But Rose didn't mention the girl was Asian, did she? Maybe she didn't even notice. But then why was she telling everyone I was with some random chick? She must have known it was a lie. And Philip, I don't understand why she lied to you. Why would she do that? I don't know, Liz, she's your friend, not mine. You figure out what she was thinking. Liz sat quietly for a while before I got up to grab a drink. Can I have one? So, after I gave her a drink, she hits me with a serious question. Have you ever tried to make a move on Rose since we got married? Are you kidding me? Why would I do that? Who knows what kind of diseases she's not worried about catching? She's never been picky. And what about Frank Cooper, your old secretary? Are you out of your mind? Have you seen her husband? Do you think I want to die? So, you're saying you've never flirted with Rose and there was nothing going on between you and Fran? Don't be ridiculous. Why do you ask? Have you? I've never really kissed Fran, except for at Christmas parties where we all kiss under the mistletoe. You're being silly again. Mixing work with pleasure is a bad idea. I've always been happy with what I have at home. Damn, I've been such a fool. I didn't say anything about it, but she didn't realize how much she had lost. Liz looked like she needed some comfort, but I kept my distance. She was still playing the victim, then she started crying and I couldn't help but comfort her. Eventually, she stopped and asked if I had ever done anything I regretted in our relationship. Marriage, what's the deal? Why would Rose claim she saw you with Fran? You should ask her that. She's your friend, not mine. No, she's not my friend, especially not after this. I now realize that all my suspicions about you come from her. What suspicions? I had doubts about you fooling around when you were away, and that you and Fran were up to something. Really? Why didn't you ever bring it up before? Because I love you. I didn't want to confront it. I was hoping you would come back to me. I would never leave you, Liz. I love you. Man, I realize now I should have trusted you more. I'm sorry, Dave. I know I haven't been the greatest wife. Can you forgive me? Well, that's up to you to figure out, not me. Figure out why you doubted me and then you'll know if you can forgive yourself. Liz then called Rose and said we are not friends anymore. Don't talk, just listen. You've tried to mess up my marriage. Never contact me again. After hanging up, Liz asked if she could bring her things inside from the car. I said no, let's just go to bed. I've missed you. No need for pajamas tonight. That night was like a second. Me and Liz are going on our honeymoon in the morning. I sorted out for our furniture to come back from storage where Liz had stashed it away. Back to our usual routine now, without the hassle of lawyers and Rose's meddling, but it was all worth it in the end. Liz eventually found out that before we tied the knot, Rose had a crush on me and wanted to steal me away from her. I always kept my distance from Rose because she was too flirty for my liking. Liz and I are now planning to grow old together, being more open with each other. I hang out at Ricky's club a lot these days, but Liz is always with me. Yo, that night on our anniversary was wild. Haven't seen Rose since then. When I got back from my trip, Liz met me at the door and wasted no time getting naked and dragging me upstairs. She threw me on the bed, unbuckled my belt, and then gave me the best blowjob of my life. Way better than Fran or Rose ever did. Still not as good as that lady in Blackpool who looked like a model though. Lucky for me, Liz kinda resembled her. Before I tied the knot with Liz, I did have a fling with Rose. Being a twin has its perks, but Rose was all talk and no substance. I think she was mad at Phil, thinking it was me who criticized her. I never really liked Rose, and I wonder if she ever figured out that Phil and I switched on her. If she did, she never said anything. I always try to be polite, but I'm not perfect. We just like to be a little more careful in life.